Welcome to our weekly Meet the Members interview. And this week we have Anne Brannick with us, and she's looking very festive, and we're all a bit laid back because it's the last week before Christmas. How are you, Anne?
I'm very good today, Sam. I'm looking forward to the break coming up, and and just having a bit of time off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. What's that like? I wonder. Yeah. So I know that we're going to help some people that might be watching today as well, because Christmas. But before we go into that, Anne, tell everyone a little bit about yourself that doesn't know you.
Okay, so I work as a relationship and parent mentor, and I work with people in pretty much any kind of issue that might trouble them and that they feel distressed or stressed about. And I suppose what I would look at is what might be unconscious for them, what's driving, or what are the unmet needs, what's driving the behavior, what's driving the stress, and how can they get back in the driver's seat, basically. But I would do that in what we call a non-directional way, that I would be providing a safe space for them to explore it. And then I might have questions and some what we call psycho education that would help, that helps kind of illuminate things for people. So if somebody's in conflict with their partner or they're struggling with the child's behavior, and they might be like myself, Sam, when I went into this work first, and they said, "Why are you on the course?" And I said, "Well, I want to learn how to control my child." And within half an hour, I realized it was myself I needed to learn how to control. And and I didn't realize what was driving my behavior, and that I was maybe looking after the child too much and not enough after me. And so then I was getting very depleted and overwhelmed. Yeah. So and generally I would work with people that are getting overwhelmed by something in their life, you know.
So I was just for the next question, I suppose, like, so what is the biggest challenge that people are coming to you with at the moment?
At the moment, I'm booked out because the Christmas coming up. I was going to, finish on Tuesday, but I've given an extra day because people seem to be suddenly needing me that hadn't been. And I think it's actually that Christmas is coming up, and a lot of people can have anxiety around Christmas coming up. And I suppose today we're not here to talk about the people who are having everything's under control and they're looking forward to it and they're going to really enjoy it. I would work more with the people who might be anticipating a struggle over Christmas, and so that might be visiting family. And as we call this one, like, Christmas is coming and so are the relatives. And yeah. And why do you think I came up with that title? And it was because in dealing with parents with young children, there's pressure on them maybe to be at this grandparent's house or that grandparent's house. And then when they do go along, they're expected to behave as children nearly again. And here they are, adults with their own child. So we need to say to grandparents and adult children that they need to be able to meet each other in an equal space. And for the grandparents to recognize that the grandchildren belong with their parents and that they are the architects of that family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone is, let's say, going to the mother-in-laws or something and they're dreading it, have you any tips around that?
Yes. Yeah, because number one, you need to realize is that the dread is coming up in yourself. So it's a message to you, for you, about you, that you have anxiety around this. And anxiety usually tells me that I'm afraid to be myself in this situation. I'm afraid maybe of being told what to do when I have my own way. So I need to be very clear that I have my own way. And I remember in particular saying to my own mother, Sam, how come she didn't give some of her advice to my sister who had had a child? Because to me, she clearly had more experience. Yeah. And she said, "You never, Anne, step in on the young mother. Never step in on the young mother. She has to find her own way." and she knows you're there if you want to ask a question. Okay. And that's my part of it, is that grandparents can have a lot of wisdom, they've had a lot of experience, but the young person is finding their own way with their child. And their child is a different child to the child they were. And their circumstances are a full generation on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I'm dreading going to the mother-in-laws, I need to have a look at how come. And if it is that and the poor old mother-in-law probably gets the bad press, isn't it? It can be any other adult.
Father-in-law.
Yeah, oh, absolutely it can. Yeah, and this would have come up for me in sessions with people, and it would be in those kind of cases that the grandparents are maybe authoritarian and have always told and dictated to their children, right? And so now when the children are visiting with their own children, they're still doing that. They're still treating them as if they were children.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we need to stop that. And the grandparents need to know that they can take a break. They're not actually the parents of these children, and that their wisdom and experience, if it's looked for, is valuable. But if it's imposed, it's an imposition.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, and if anyone has any questions around Christmas coming up, please, would they be okay to reach out to you and just, have a chat?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. But I know that you do courses, you actually do one-to-one sessions with people. I think maybe January could be busy for you after Christmas.
Yes, yeah. And I run a parenting course in January. So I started with 4 sessions, and generally people go on for another 4 sessions. And the parenting course is about parenting yourself. Most courses are about parenting the child. Now, of course, the children's behavior come into it, but what we're looking at is what kind of reactions have the parents got to their children. So if we're taking something like Christmas, okay, and your child doesn't like to hug every other relative in the house, yeah, or every visitor that's coming. And so it's okay to let the visitors know that the child will either do a high five or may not hug at all. But that hug needs to be in the child's own time. What we're teaching children about is that their no matters, and it's a consent thing. If I internalize a child not hugging me as being about me, that's something that's coming up in me, and I need to look at that. Okay. Like what's my need of the child, and how can I give myself some loving warmth that the child doesn't feel free yet to give. Yeah. And the child may be overwhelmed. There may be lots of reasons, but often what you find is that the parent is pressurized to make the child hug the relatives.
Oh, kiss your granny.
Yeah, exactly. And so we need to stop that. If granny puts out her arms in an invitation and the child comes to her, fine. And if granny doesn't, granny can blow a kiss and say, I love you. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So you don't have to, you can still give your love. But if you're dependent on that love, if you feel a deep hurt inside you because that child didn't come to you to give you a hug, that deep hurt is to do with yourself. It's not to do with the child.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And it's to do with our own, possibly, rejection, harsh treatment, humiliation, love being withdrawn as a punishment, that kind of thing when we're kids. And now what's happening is it activates what you call the amygdala in the brain, and you're feeling a fight or flight within you. But really what you need to do is hold on to yourself and give yourself the love you didn't get then. And that way you'll be able to stay centered with the child and just blow the child a kiss, or if the child only wants a high five or whatever, the child may be wrapped around the parent's legs. And that's where they need to be, because that's where their secure attachment is.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Very good, Anne.
There you go. Believe it or not, Sam, you've got a lovely it's a grandson.
Yes.
Grandson. Now, you'll notice with this child, if you put the hands out, the child will make a move towards you or back towards the parent, right? That's about the child's need. if they make the move back towards the parent, they know who's the one who's there for their survival. And
Yeah.
they don't want to leave that person. It's not that they don't want to go with you.
Yes.
It's that they don't want to leave. But if you put the hands out and they move towards you, that's the time to say, I'll come here. You know,
Brilliant.
yeah. And then the child, you know, everybody's free to give. Love that's free to be given like that is beautiful. But if it's imposed, it's not. Yeah. And so, yeah. So that's probably one of the things I would see at Christmas, because children are involved a lot, and relatives that maybe haven't been there all year are suddenly around, you know, and children may well make shy, you know, and they're not really making shy. They're actually being very wise in that they know who they're attached to and they want to stay with them. And that's in human beings. It's a survival thing.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in your parenting course, where can they get the details on?
The details will go up on my website and it'll be there for January. It's usually going to be around the 3rd week in January. Yeah. Or they can email me at the website. Yeah, they can email me from the website.
Tell us the website.
It's ambrannick.ie. Yeah.
It's on the website. It's on the website. Everyone's like, what website? What website?
Yeah. Okay, I do think because it's my name, you know. Sorry, Sam. And you know, I had great input there with yourself and Fiona Walsh with her PowerPoint and Jacinta with the Feed Alpha and that. So I'm going to get a bit stronger on all of that. And I had great times with you, Sam, on the LinkedIn audio. I have to say, listening to the whole thing, it's a very lovely space to be in. People share, you know, their different kind of professional ways. That's really helpful.
Yeah,
You know,
and
so,
like for us to help you, and you know, for members who probably didn't know you till today, you know, Anne is on Twitter, and she's on LinkedIn, so definitely connect with each other. What's your Twitter handle?
I'm at Anne Brannick, but I'm mostly on LinkedIn. That I find that I'm at ease there, and I can have the longer posts. I would have to go back into Twitter and start again nearly, but I have a little book here, Sam. I have it right beside me here. So over Christmas, that's what I'll be doing.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your support as well. You know, actually, it mightn't be a bad idea to do a little LinkedIn poll now for Christmas and ask people, you know, what's your biggest fear around Christmas or something like that, and just get some engagement going there. That might be a nice idea. And then whatever you get the answer to most, whatever wins the poll, then maybe you could write an article around that. So that's a good way to find out what people are feeling and get a feel for what's happening to people. So they're great tips you gave us. Brilliant. Well done. And thank you so much. Anne Brannick, parenting and relationship expert, or just parenting expert?
Relationship and parent mentor.
Relationship and parent.
You are an expert on yourself. I will help you find it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Anne, and happy Christmas.
Thank you, Sam, and a happy Christmas to you too.